Yeah, your Bitcoin's the last of your worries if like the whole grid goes down.
And that's what somebody literally, if we, until we revert back to caveman days where we're hunting deer with spears and like hunter-gatherers, I'm not really worried about collecting gold bars and stuff other than, because buy, sell, and trade with physical.
Even then, gold's not going to do you any good.
No.
People are going to want like bullets and like deer meat.
Yeah, food and ammunition and protect themselves and to survive.
Right. Yeah.
So
you also can't defend yourself very well with Bitcoin. It's hard to whack somebody over the head with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hustle on Purpose podcast. My name is GT Ikard, and today we have a special guest, Preston Scott. Preston, how are you doing today, man?
Good, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, thank you for coming. So for those that don't know much about you, just tell us a little bit about your story, where you come from, what you do, all of that.
Okay. I am a Web3 developer, kind of a big umbrella there, but a lot of, front end, back end development of Web3, smart contracts, and different cryptocurrencies.
That is awesome, because that is a topic that, I think a lot of people fall in the same boat as me, where it's like just don't know a lot about what that means, but have this sense that that's where everything's going. And it's easy, I think, to just kind of feel like, oh, I've already missed the boat, but it does seem to be the future. And so like when you say Web 3.0, like what does that mean?
So in like a basic general term, Web3 is decentralized web. So now Web 2, the way it's built and the way it's structured, is centralized and essentially monopolized by bigger conglomerates like Google, Facebook, these bigger people that control portions of the web.
Right.
Web 3 is allowing the average user without billions of dollars to own portions of that. And it's decentralized out through, instead of, say 100 different owners, it's, decentralized out through millions now. So that's where it's going. And with Web3 comes, DeFi, decentralized finance, and a lot of different things that actually benefit smaller people like us that don't own the, central banking system or these Google companies that are massive. So it's basically it's a decentralized way of operating in the, web domain.
Okay. Man, that's the best way I've heard it explained, because that makes a lot of sense. So do you think Web 3 ends up being like Web 2, where it's like it's owned by a handful of huge companies?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're fighting that. Not saying that it's going to happen overnight fully, but there is, so like for instance, today, if you go onto a website to buy something and you go to the website and you say, I want to buy these boots, and you put in your card information, all your information, the steps it takes to do that, that's Web 2, you're generating all the information. With decentralized applications like, your crypto wallet, for instance, it's a wallet address that you would paste into the buy now section, and you pay with Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever the tender accepts.
Right.
So the cool thing about that is it's the security.
Right.
It's the ease of use, and we can touch on this a little bit later, but there's the big thing with DeFi is peer-to-peer transfer.
Peer-to-peer? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
In a short, explanation of that, peer-to-peer is like if me and you are going to settle on a business agreement, I can transfer without any third-party entity. I can pay you in Ethereum, Bitcoin, ADA, XRP, whatever token of choice.
Whatever we agree on.
Whatever we agree on.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is peer-to-peer, I send it to you and it's on the blockchain. It can't be reversed. It can't be paused. Can't be held for days. And we can do it 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So, and the beauty about that is too, the third-party entity that's always collecting those fees, like Visa or the bank or the whatever, that's gone.
But somebody still gets some kind of fee, right? Like somebody
so you pay network fees, which is in Ethereum, it's like a gas fee.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that though is different times of day, those fees fluctuate. And this is kind of getting deeper into it, but
interesting. Okay.
Those fees fluctuate. Gas fluctuates. Like certain peak hours of the day, gas could be, it's called GWEI, like on Ethereum, and it could be $30, $30. But if you think about, if you're going to transfer $50,000, $30 is not much. But if you're going to transfer $100, the GWEI, it fluctuates. In the gas, like I said, gets very technical.
Well, and it's not going to like a Chase or a Visa. It's going to other people.
The Ethereum, out to the miners of the network.
Right.
So,
which I'm all for that, right? It's like, because it's decentralized. It's all decentralized. It's not just going to the few corporations that are holding positions at the top. It's the primary way a lot of these huge companies make money on Web 2 is through your information. And so you're saying in Web 3, the way they're fighting that is they're not gathering all of your information with every transaction or everything that you do. They'll still be tracking, I guess, where your eyeballs go. Like attention's still going to be important. Yeah. But it won't be transacting your personal data per se.
Yeah. So like I said, with a wallet, when you set up a crypto wallet, it takes about 5 seconds to set it up. And there's no like name, address, phone number, that stuff attached to that wallet. What's cool about the blockchain and about decentralized finance is everything is exposed. So you can see like this wallet address sent here. Then you can trace it. Oh, this sent to a centralized exchange. This sent back out. Like, and there's ways to get around, because the only way to hide transfers is sending to a centralized exchange, because there's bulk addresses that show like thousands of transactions. But private wallets, it shows like you can see it. Everything where the money moves, you can trace it back to somewhere. And then there's a thing called bubble maps. Like if I have 5 wallets and say I buy a project and I start dumping my bags, start nuking the chart. Those wallets will come up on a bubble map. So if I transferred ETH from anything remotely close to those wallets to like fund those wallets to trade, it will pop up. Even if at first glance you can't really see it, there's ways to track those down, to see those wallets in tandem. Like, oh, they're connected, even though it might be 5 wallets back that was sent down the line. So it's a way to be anonymous in the sense of people can track wallets, but they can't track names. And like, Preston transferred $1 million from this wallet to this wallet, and then he scammed these people on a project and did this and then laundered this. And, so
there's always going to be a dirty side to anything anonymous.
Absolutely.
It's interesting. Like, it just makes me wonder, like, so I guess advertisers, because, we all get the targeted ads based off the stuff you shop for and whatever. It's like, I'm just imagining Facebook, like you have different wallets that you use for different things. And it's like, does each wallet just get different targeted ads, Because if they're not tying it, right now it's all tied to you as a person and your like Facebook profile and all the data that they can tie to you, right?
Yeah.
But in this decentralized like marketing game.
Yeah. So if like, for instance, Ethereum, so the way you look up wallet addresses or anything on the blockchain is called Etherscan.
Okay.
And so through that, like they're very tight on like, they don't run ads very much on Etherscan. Like there's a couple banners here and there, but you never get targeted. Like there's no, like your wallet, you open it, it's the same thing every day. There's no anything running to your wallet.
Yeah.
I don't know, like in the future, like
yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll find a way.
Yeah. I don't know in the future, like where all that will go, but obviously everything evolves.
Yeah.
And, and it's where there is money and potential for companies to profit. There's going to be advertising methods and different,
Yeah, it's just one of those things that'll be kind of interesting to see how it plays out. So you mentioned also front end and back end development. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. So like, explain that to me a little bit.
So like me personally, when I say front end development, it usually is like the topical or what you see like with a web application.
Okay.
So how you interact.
User interface.
Yeah, the user interface.
Okay.
Like UI, UX, like the user experience.
Okay.
That's predominantly where I live with that part of the development. The back end, I do some like, when it comes to back end, is more referring to like different in-depth coding, different
making it work.
Functions, that make those buttons work on the front end.
Okay. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
It's like working on a car. It's like some people are engine people, some people are paint and body work.
Yeah.
So you focus more on like the looks, the paint, the body work.
Yeah.
And other people handle a lot of like making it run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing for me is like, there's like two sides of it. And the only person I know, or I say only, but one of the ones I like to refer to is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I'm aware of him.
Yeah. You know who he is.
Yeah. We're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got him in your speed dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. No. But with him, he's brilliant, right?
Right.
But he hires people that can facilitate the ideas he has, because there's two sides of it. Like some people are incredible at ideas. Mm-hmm. And like I have a guy on our team that he's very amazing with, from a user perspective, knowing like, hey, we should do this, this, and this. This would make the user feel safe, or this would function better. Like just coming from a user perspective. So he has a lot of good ideas on that end. And then we have guys that they're brilliant, but when it comes to like you and I just having a normal conversation, it's like you might as well just go to space, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant on building the back end. So that's where they live.
Right.
And that's really where I guess with the collaborative effort, like the beauty and the optimum functionality of that is learning how to collaborate together, knowing your space. Like I know where I sit in our team. I know where so-and-so sits. And the idea is taking those and creating something better than any singular position.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I've adopted in my life, and it's been game changing. It's just like, even in my marriage or any of my businesses or whatever, it's a big focus on what are my strengths, what are the other team members' strengths, what do they typically you enjoy working on the things that you're good at. Everybody, when you're picking a board game, everybody picks the game they're good at, kind of thing. So it's like, if you have somebody on your team, or you have a spouse, or, anybody that you're dealing with, really, if you can work it out where they're able to focus on their strengths, you're able to focus on yours, and they're different and they're complementary, it just works out a lot better. Like I love my kids, but my wife she's gifted at like spending time with them and like loving them and fostering all these, these things in them. It's not my strength. Like I am better when I'm working or whatever.
Yeah.
But we do it in a way where it makes both of our lives better.
Yeah. And it's funny you touch on that, because that's something too for me personally with my wife. She's really, I think for all of this that we've talked about, and like you as a man, your passions, your having a supporting partner and role in that, like supporting cast makes the difference. Because like we talked a little bit earlier about, with crypto and stuff, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of times I know my wife is frustrated, but she still supports me. And it's, sometimes it's like meeting deadlines. When you develop a project, there's a lot of technicals that happen in the first few weeks, and it takes a lot of time. And that's where, like you said, the same thing for me is like when I'm pushing forward in my area, and my wife's supportive, but I know my kids are all taken care of. They're clean, they're fed, that's huge for me, because that allows me to develop myself and push forward and grow and be better.
This episode of Hustle on Purpose is brought to you by Arkansas Real Estate Buyers. If you have a problematic piece of real estate, we would love to help you. Go to the description, click on the link, schedule a free consultation with me personally, and we'll get you set up. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah, a support team, I mean, whether it's a spouse or even just good friends, good family, whatever, good employees, good bosses, makes a world of difference. I mean, I've stayed at terrible jobs because I liked my boss or I liked the people I work with, I've left great jobs because I couldn't stand my boss or the people I work with. Yeah. It really is. I tend to be more of a, I think some people fall into two really broad categories. There's like people and like things people. Like the things people usually tend to be stuff like engineers and whatever. It's like people that find things more interesting a lot of times than they find people. And some people are just like super extroverted, love just interacting with people all day.
Yeah.
But I completely forgot where I was going with that. Just completely blanked. The importance of having a good support system. Yeah, I mean, it can't be overstated, I don't think. My wife, the amount of time she'll be frustrated with me because I have to come to the office late and work. Because, working for yourself, you get the benefit of freedom and flexibility, right? But a lot of times it's just, you get to choose what 60 hours a week you want to work.
Yeah.
Like I make it so that I do my best to be at home with the wife and kids in the mornings, and I'm home from 5 until bedtime.
Yeah.
I do my best to never compromise on that. But because of that, a lot of times I'm back out here working after bedtime because it's the time has to come from somewhere. Right.
Yeah. And that is funny because I'm the same way. There's sometimes where I go and my oldest son, he's 8.
Oh, okay.
And he likes to, we had kids young or early.
Right.
But he likes me to get him, tuck him in, get him to sleep. Uh-huh. And so I'll go lay down with him for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Get him wind down. My wife always has the younger two. And then I'll go back on.
How old are they?
My daughter just turned 5.
Okay.
And then we have a youngest son. He's 2.
Okay.
So he just turned 2 too.
So I'm just right behind you. So I've got a 4-year-old girl, a 2-year-old boy, and a newborn girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We're just a few years behind.
Yeah.
But I'm in a similar boat.
Yeah. So it's and you have to find that balance. I was literally just talking about this the other day with my wife, is you have to have that balance of, as they grow and develop, mm-hmm. you're pouring time and energy into them. Then as you're trying to, I always think about, my first thing is my family. When I think about what can I do to further myself, but that ultimately affects my family.
Yeah.
How can we, there's things I want to achieve that, I want to be able to do with my family, and different places we want to go, and, whatever. So it's definitely that line of, like you said, it's which 60 hours do you want to work? I literally seen a podcast, Gary Vee, a while back, and he was talking about, he has a friend that works 9 to 5, makes 40, 50,000 a year, and he's happy and he's ecstatic. Right. He gets to go to his kid's baseball game on the weekends and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Then he has a friend that makes 100 million a year, but he complains all the time how he has no time for nothing. His family, he's missing out. And he's like, just make time, just figure out how to balance that out, because, and that's where I'll stop right here and say, money is so, I think, misunderstood. And maybe, people, for instance, my personal opinion of social media, it's a very powerful tool for business. It's a powerful tool for multiple things, but it's also a very damaging outlet for, most people, the majority of people sitting at home scrolling Instagram, Facebook. They're seeing the highlight reels of people's lives. They're seeing the fancy cars, the money, but in reality, statistics say a different thing. Most of Americans are in debt by a lot. most don't have, I mean, I think the last statistic I read was like almost 60% of Americans don't have $1,000 extra dollars, like of cushion. And so, and you've seen it, it's unfortunate. It's just how our brains are. And they know that it's all programmed to appease, like whether, if you're clicking certain things, you all of a sudden it's like, whoa, all I'm seeing is Lamborghinis. like, you know, and then all of a sudden it's seeing these
watches,
nice houses, watches.
It's watches everywhere for me.
And
it's a problem.
So you just start getting tagged, and then it's like the back of your brain is like, I need that.
Right.
You know, and then you're like, oh, it's $30,000 or, you know, you know, and so you're,
and the worst part is then you get it, and like 2 days later, you're like on to the next thing. You're like, I gotta get that next thing.
It really doesn't, it doesn't mean anything. Like and
you think it's BS when you hear people say that.
Oh yeah.
And then if you're lucky enough, you live it a little bit and you realize like, oh man, they're absolutely correct. Like, you stay in that hamster wheel if you let yourself.
Yeah. I think probably 2 or 3 days ago, one of my team members, we talked and we're like, just so you know, if my kid, something happened, God forbid, my wife, kid, family, and I needed, you know, money to pay for something to make sure they were well, like no hard feelings, I would nuke everything that I had. Like and we can figure it out later, but first things first is my family. And that's where, I guess, going back to like money and things is, there's two sides of it. Yes, money pays your bills, and it does help.
You got to have
relieve stress. You have to have it. There's no way around it. But ultimately, I look at money as like, it's the tool to allow you to like, you start here, you make this money, you take this, and like for an investor, you're thinking of how can I grow that money, not how can I spend it.
Right.
And that's the 99% of the problems in this world is people, as fast as they make it, they spend it. Or they're not willing to wait, like something we're seeing in the crypto market is, and because of the market is a very bearish market from the outer perspective. Long term, it's bullish.
Right.
But short term, people are in it for the 2x, the 3x. And all I see in chats and all this stuff is people complaining and crying how they sold too early, they didn't hold long enough, they could have turned $100 into 50 billion. Like it's, and it's like it's a vicious cycle of like FOMO, and it's people chasing that, and people unrealistic. Like I told people, like I've been lucky in certain scenarios where you turn $100 into a decent amount, but it happens so few and far between.
Right.
It's not sustainable, and it's not like, you know, for the average user, like you were saying, going back to earlier, is like somebody that's from the outside that may be new to crypto or learning it. Like, what is it? Like, what's the value? Where does it come from? Like, because people, people are so confused at like the US dollar, like, well, we're backed by gold or this or that. And it's like, that's not the case, obviously.
Right.
And I read a deal, this was actually a while back, about a year ago, but it said, you know, X amount, like 20 something trillion minted, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, it said, oh yeah, that's the US dollar, not Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and anyways,
have you seen that video where it's like a guy is giving a speech, and I don't know where it was at. You kind of just see him, but he's like, all right, y'all tell me your guess, whether it's the NBA or the NFL. And he starts listing, you know, like 11 people convicted of like robbery and like this many people, you know, drug charges, blah, 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 and goes down this long list and has people guess whether all these crimes were committed by NBA players or NFL players. And he's like, neither, it's your US Congress.
Yeah.
It's like, dang.
Yeah, for real. And you know, people can come out and make news articles and say, oh, it's a lie, I don't believe it. You know, Nancy Pelosi didn't do this or do that, or but it's like this guy, I seen a funny YouTube video. He goes to Capitol Hill and he's like, you know, going to their offices or whatever, and he's trying to get an interview with Nancy, which is not going to happen.
Never.
But he's like, I just want to know how she's like the best trader ever.
Right.
Like, she's like the most successful stock trader, and she holds like a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin. Yeah.
Well, all of like, you look at any politician when they go into office, It's like, I mean, like AOC, for example, just because I saw this one recently, it's like she went in there as like a 23-year-old like bartender, right?
Yeah.
With no money. And like, 2 years in, she's worth $4 million.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It doesn't add up. I mean, it's...
And not to just like, I'm not making like a political stance here. It's just, left, right, whatever. It's just one of those things. It's like, I just don't think like our politicians should go in with no money and come out with a bunch of money. Cause it's like, how and why did that happen?
Yeah. And that's a good topic because they're public servants.
Right.
We pay taxes.
Yeah.
To ensure that they have jobs. And ensure that we have our roads fixed.
Yeah.
We have electricity when we need it.
Military,
we have water, military
all
and all this. And I understand reasons for that. But like, I'm from California, and that naturally the state there's nothing like it. There's everything from snowy mountains to beaches to
beautiful. Yeah.
Everything you want.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, like, I was blown away when I came here and got my first car registration of $35 or $25.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the world? One fee? Wow, this is amazing.
Wow.
There,
they don't inspect your car or anything.
Yeah, no, it's totally different. And there, I got a newer car, so I'm getting charged, which cars that are 10 years or older, they get smogged.
Right.
Which I understand. There's 40 million people there, plus, close to 45 million now or something.
Right.
And so there's millions of vehicles. Whatever. Okay, I get that. Control that. But since I have a new car, I get what's called a smog abatement fee on my registration, which is it's almost the price of smog. So they're getting, regardless, people push electric vehicles. Like I have a friend that has a couple Teslas, and he gets charged like crazy taxes on his registration because he's not paying gas tax. So there's no incentive to have an electric vehicle. There's no incentives for nothing.
Yeah.
And the same car that I paid $35 here, or $25, one of the two, the year before I paid $288. And that's nothing. My dad pays like $1,100 a year on his truck for registration.
Just for registration?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, so my thing is though, where's all that money going? We should have gold streets and like, there should be, the infrastructure should be there. I'm all for that. Within reason, if there's proper infrastructure and, is delegated to, whether it's businesses, different, roads, I mean, so
it's going to the homeless people to have iPhones.
Yeah. And that's the stupidity of it, for lack of better terms, is like,
I don't know of anybody that's against paying taxes when it's used like properly.
Yeah.
But it's just, we're entrusting that money to a government that seems to misappropriate it left and right.
Yeah, and that's this could go like south real quick, but that's where money being shipped.
Let's just go down this political rabbit hole for sure.
General, like munitions, military support, all this stuff to countries, billions of dollars, and then accounting errors for billions of dollars.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't even make sense. But other than they're setting something up, or there's something being built in the background, but it's right in front of your face. But and I think people are getting to the point to where they're realizing like, hey, not everything, you can't just write it off as a conspiracy theory. Like, just follow the money. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Like I was way too young then I just found this out a couple of years ago, but there was a news announcement on Fox the day before 9/11, and there was like, I can't remember, $1.6 trillion or something.
Oh yeah, and then they crashed plane into the Pentagon.
And and then it missed. Like they took it down, and it just came back up 20 plus years later.
Yeah,
and
don't worry about that.
Yeah,
everything's fine.
So
it's just like, really, like well, like, why do we even pay taxes when you can just go print $4 trillion?
Exactly.
Why are we getting stimulus checks? Like, those stimulus checks helped a lot of people, especially people that were investing in crypto, because then the masses went and invested in crypto and pumped all the prices up, right? But I mean, this all kind of, the talk about the family and finding the balance, and the entrepreneurship and finding the balance, and like, your crypto investment strategy, people balancing between long-term holding and short-term dumping it at a 2x, and all of that reminds me of this quote, and I like it so much it's actually on my email signature, and it's from Roy Disney, Walt's brother. And it's when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. And I just love that so much because it's like, I think a lot of times, and myself included, when I'm thinking about any kind of decision, could be a small one or a big one, but if I find myself in a tough place with that decision, I am learning now to like be rooted in some core values. And it's like, dude, it's true. When your values are clear, those decisions are easy. Like, I have a little bit of crypto. My values are, I want to provide for my family long term. So I don't sell anything.
Yeah.
That may be stupid, but I think it aligns with my goals and my values.
Yeah.
So I'm just one of the idiots that like still has like SHIB. I don't even know what it is. I just like bought it one day because it was like, I was one of the guys that just like bought it because everyone was talking about it.
Speaking of SHIB, what's funny is literally last week they launched Shibarium, which is like their...
I like the name.
Yeah. Like their layer one, they're trying to build, like they've been working on it forever. But what's funny is we launched a project last week as well. Okay. And during that time, there were some investors, like pretty decent sized investors. I mean, for a new project, they're, $20,000, $30,000 in holdings. Yeah. They nuked their bags and they ran to Shibarium because they thought it was going to pump. Well, then the whole thing got locked up. There's like several $1 million like just locked up on the chain. It was just kind of a funny situation.
So how does that happen? Like the Shibarium people locked it up?
No, it's just the network. There's so much traffic and there's so much transferring and people migrating and all this kind of stuff going on to try to like get in on this, big pump. And a lot of people got locked up for days. They get their money back. Yeah. But it's just funny how when people are always chasing that, like, and then in the meanwhile, our project, it dipped down for a little bit, then it just continued to grow after that. So it's like people, those same wallets were coming back, aping back into our project, which is, it's pretty cool. Like
buying in at a higher price than
buying
they were
at a higher price,
before.
they lost their positions. Yeah. And they didn't have to do that, but it's like a knee jerk. It's like the market. Like you wake up one day and Bitcoin would be down 3% and you're like, oh my God, sell. And then it's another 2%. And then by the afternoon, it's back up. Yeah. It's like, and then you're like, why did I even sell? Yeah. Like I just was following the chart. And that's where, like you said, one thing I tell everybody, because like, have you heard of the term like degening or like you're a degen trader?
Dude, I played poker for a lot of my late adolescence. I don't know. Used to play a lot of poker and hang out with a lot of gamblers, and I'm very familiar with the word degen. Yeah. But it's usually degenerative gambling.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where like crypto is really from in the smaller markets, because like Bitcoin holds usually every day, it fluctuates obviously, but holds about half of the market value of crypto. Ethereum holds another like 25%. Yeah. So the other 25% is all the thousands of other coins and tokens.
Yeah. It's so easy to get lost in it. I'm just like, I'm not in it every day like you. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. So there's a lot of fluctuation there. But what's funny is people are constantly rotating. They're not investors. Like we always talk like.
They're day traders.
Yeah. And 99% of them suck. Yeah. Because they don't know how to, there's on a crypto chart, there's especially adolescent charts or like new projects, there's no TA. Like there's no earnings reports. You're basing your trades off of like essentially hype. Yeah. So
what are they talking about the most on Reddit today?
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the whole, the wall or the GameStop saga thing. Right. That was like wild. Yeah. Like the people were aping, like this one dude, there's a documentary about it. It's actually really interesting.
I bet. Yeah.
But the guy aped like 800,000 and lost like everything.
And what does aping mean?
Aping is like, you're like buying it, but it's like
you're going like all in.
Yeah. You're just like ALS, ape life savings, like people, there's different terms. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Degens always have like random, some funny stuff. Yeah. It's like, hey man, hit me up in IRL. It's like, in real life.
Right.
You know, like just because it really is like, I was telling somebody the other day, like money in crypto is like weird. When you're looking at one Ethereum, right? It fluctuates, but like as of today, it's like 1650. It kind of, the market took a nuke last week. But say 1650, and you think one Ethereum, man, I only have 1 ETH, 2 ETH, 10 ETH. But you're like, no, that's $1,650. You know, that's $1,650, but you look at it as singular numbers, right? So it's like, I'll throw 5 ETH at that and not think about it. Well, that's all. In real life, what would you ever throw 5 times 1650 and not think about it?
Yeah.
You know, so that's where you have to be balanced, because you become disillusioned of like money, like actual money. It's like a video game.
Yeah. It's like a casino.
Yeah, essentially.
It's like one of the, you know, the greatest invention ever by a casino is the chip, right? Because all of a sudden it's like everybody knows the feeling of $100 bill in their hands, right? And like, if you were to have to put down $100 bills, $500 bills on a blackjack hand, it makes you like, But once they just turn it into a toy, once you just turn it into chips, it's like you don't have that same connection to it. Your brain's not like, oh, like I just had to work 2 weeks for that money. It's like now it's just become this like plaything.
Yeah, for real. And it's like, you know, the casino always wins. Yeah. And so it's the same thing with crypto. It's like, and that's why kind of shifting, I guess, the conversation into like my development. Yeah. That's where I really, because like I said, trading crypto is extremely hard. You're basing off of hype. So hype can change in seconds. Mm-hmm. And I'll explain a scenario. Actually, it's pretty relevant because it was yesterday with like, with our chart, which is kind of cool that we're here now talking. But so I'll give you a brief rundown of like what we've launched last week.
Yeah. What is this project?
So the project is called LINQ. Okay. LINQ.
Okay.
And what it is we've had this idea. So I wrote this idea down about 2 years ago, but I didn't really have the supporting cast to facilitate it. But what it is, and it's kind of funny because X or Twitter has been really pushing, like they're moving in, they filed for like financial licenses and all this kind of stuff. Like they're pushing, because if you think about it, social media, there's however many millions and millions of people, users.
Hundreds, yeah.
So why not, it's kind of funny, but centralize a social platform, a financial platform, and whatever else.
Yeah.
So, but what's crazy?
Well, he's already got PayPal. I mean, it's like all of it just makes
and
sense.
It's like you said, advertisements. You want to buy a pair of shoes, it pops up, boom, you connect your wallet's connected, boom, boom, boom. Well, for us with LINQ is essentially in that line, but for crypto users. So for one, we're creating a standalone like social platform. That's basically the UI is like Twitter.
Okay.
It's recognizable. It's not going to be reinventing the wheel there. But the individual layers that support it are, we're going to have a DEX or a decentralized exchange. We're going to have a swap, which I don't know if are you familiar with swaps?
Nope.
So swaps are decentralized. Like for instance, a centralized, I'll touch on this for 1 second.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, FTX crashes, all these centralized exchanges. Essentially, they still have control over your wallets. So if they say you can withdraw,
right,
you can withdraw. If you can't, they lock it up.
Right. Yeah.
So with a decentralized wallet, no one can tell you that.
Is that the same as a non-custodial wallet?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Because you have like custodial wallets where a company like FTX or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like Gemini or like what are some of that? Binance in that one?
Yeah.
Like those are all like custodians of a wallet.
Exactly.
And exchange, or they're exchanges, I guess.
Yeah, they're exchanges. So it's a lot of traders, like I know like day traders that they use it. What they'll do is say they're going to day trade. They put 2 ETH on the wallet,
right,
on their exchange. They day trade, they take their money, they ship it to a decentralized wallet.
Gotcha.
Because then that way, what's cool about this, so getting back to the swap thing, with say MetaMask is like the main wallet that I use. You can swap, like there's Uniswap, there's Kyber Swap, there's Sushi Swap, there's countless swaps. There's 1 inch. There's all these different swaps. And what that means is, say, for instance, Uniswap's router is down, and I can't swap and what a swap is basically like a trading tool to take, say, for instance, you hold our coin, LINQ, and you want to sell it for ETH. You swap it to ETH right there, and now you have ETH value in your wallet.
Gotcha.
So, but what's cool about that is
without having to do two different transactions of buying and selling.
Yeah, and it stays off an exchange, in which exchanges too, they list tokens. So for instance, we're only a week or a week and a half old, give or take. So we're not listed on exchanges.
Right.
And honestly, exchanges cause a lot of headaches for tokens. They don't support any kind of tokenomics. So tokenomics are basically it's just economics and token.
It sounds like a Cheech and Chong movie title.
Yeah.
Tokenomics.
Yeah. So what it is basically there's so many different variations of it, but for instance, if we launched a token called the podcast, whatever.
Let's do it. Yeah.
We can set our tax, a buy and sell tax on every transaction.
Right.
So that's called a tokenomic, the tax of the token. And like I said, there's so many different variations. You can get creative with the contracts. I mean, that's a whole nerd level.
I do want to talk a little bit about that at some point.
Yeah.
And maybe, but I don't want to derail you from talking about the LINQ and the swaps and the.
So with LINQ, what we're doing is we're creating the social platform. Then we have a DEX, which is, like I said, decentralized exchange. Then we'll have a wallet, so people can hold, buy, trade everything wallet. Then we'll have a couple other sub layers, eventually a pay feature where Apple Pay, all that stuff. But you have to have a securities commissions, and that's a whole nother level. And it's a lot of money to get that.
And it's all new and weird to navigate and so expensive.
Yeah, it's I think the license right now is $5 million or something crazy.
Yeah.
That's a whole, we're not even really worried about that right now because it's whatever.
Future plans. Yeah.
But the other thing, so the functionalities with the application is somebody can get on there as a social user and just be a social user. They don't have to interact with crypto. But because we'll have a news feed that is there's crypto news, updates, all this kind of stuff. And in that, a normie or a average user, social user, they get on there, what's Bitcoin? What's Ethereum? What's this or Shiba or whatever? And they interact and they see these news articles and they're I can connect, set up a wallet, and very user friendly.
Yeah.
We have right now it's all adolescent, but we have a support team that's very knowledgeable on how our token works, all this kind of stuff. But the broader scope of our token, and it's kind of in crypto, we were in this weird spot where people are doing the same contracts, the same tokenomics. It's for instance, during the bull run, towards the tail end of the bull run, there was a project called SafeMoon. And that was one of a project that I was involved in. And one of the things they really introduced was those, as a holder, you get rewarded in, in token rewards. So native tokens, every day there's a distribution of native tokens. So you're gaining, your SafeMoon bag grows over time. And it's all variable based off of volume, which is cool. But now that's a year and a half, 2 years ago. Now there's things that are a lot better. So one of the things with crypto or tokens is what's called liquidity. And liquidity pools are created say, for instance, we launch a token, I create a liquidity pool so people can buy and sell my token. The thing with that is it's centralized. So you as the developer, you can pull that liquidity and rug your holders.
Right.
And that's a common rug pull.
Yeah.
Is you let it pump up. Say you put 2 ETH in liquidity, you let it 2x, 3x, if you can get it there, and then you nuke it.
Right.
And then you just made $8,000 in 15 minutes, and everybody else lost a bunch of money.
Right.
So with the uniqueness of our token is we have decentralized liquidity. So our holders actually own the liquidity.
Cool.
So when they buy in, they become liquidity holders. And how that works is it's an automatic code in the contract that these people buy, they own a percentage of liquidity. And then every single day there's multiple LP drops. So they gain rewards off of liquidity.
Okay.
And so
you're as the developer, you're at the whim of the crowd.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping there's not a mob mentality rug pull.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing now. We're to the point where we have right at 2,500 holders in the first week, which is pretty wild.
That's awesome.
Last night, we broke 22 million market cap.
Nice.
Which is pretty wild.
So how do people buy it? You said that, it's not on these centralized exchanges.
Yeah. So they use Uniswap.
Okay.
So it's listed, like there's a tool we use called DEX tools. It's like a charting. It's like for tokens that are on exchanges, it's the best like tool to use.
Aaron, you have to buy me some before this goes live.
What are we at right now? 18.4. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so yesterday was a crazy day, so I'm gonna tell you a little about yesterday.
Okay.
We had a very early holder.
Because you're probably sitting there with this like on one of your computer screens just all the time.
Yeah, we're constantly between the chat, between the chart.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing about yesterday, so like I said, we onboarded, we didn't realize we were gonna grow this fast.
Yeah.
To give you an idea of a 20 million market cap or 18.4 million or whatever, in this market is like extraordinary because as a new project, the market tanked. Okay, granted, the market nuked last week. Okay. Like big time. And Bitcoin.
What caused that?
There's a lot of FUD. People said Elon Musk sold 300 something million of Bitcoin. A dude in China got put in life in prison for mining Bitcoin. A lot of different stuff.
Life in prison.
Yeah, life in prison,
sounds
which is wild.
Yeah.
And China comes out every year, no offense, but they come out every year and say, we're going to ban crypto. And they do all these like crazy stunts.
Yeah. Because they probably have some money they want to dump into it.
Exactly.
Like,
and those types of people, they're, like I said, there's people accumulating this. Like if you just do your research, just like the news, if you just go out and like do a little bit of research, you can be like, they're telling me one thing, but something else is happening in the background.
Right.
So it's like, that's why I forgot to mention this earlier, is like people that are new to crypto, I'm like, just buy some Bitcoin, buy some Ethereum, and just accumulate like on the dips, accumulate over time, and you'll be much happier if you can think 5 years out. Crypto is going a lot of places in 5 years. Like to give you an example, and Kevin O'Leary is a big proponent, for crypto and all that. But the crazy thing is crypto is 1/10 the size of the stock market.
That's way bigger than I would have thought it was.
Yeah, and only 1 point, give or take, 1.5 to like 2.5% of the world is invested in crypto, which is crazy. And Kevin O'Leary thinks that crypto will be the 12th and largest sector and I'm not saying everything he says is gospel truth, but
he is Mr. Wonderful.
He's a pretty wise investor and he's big on watches.
He is big on watches, yeah.
But no, so that being said though and then the real estate market is retarded. Like no one really knows the value of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like way out there. And so
it's funny as the real estate guy, like hearing the crypto guy say that, because I'm like, crypto is out there, man.
Yeah.
Like, because I just have a better understanding of like real estate. But I think both are great. It's one of those like diversification things, like because they're so polar opposite.
Yeah.
Real estate is far less liquid. It's much more stable generally. I mean, the last few years have been crazy. They're polar opposites, and I think it's wise to have both. Yeah,
and that's a good point. Is I tell people, I've told multiple people, is the one thing I love about crypto is the liquidity of it. Like, but
sell
it's also
it immediately.
Volatile. Yeah, I can go and sell a $50,000 property in seconds,
and that's a pro and a con.
Yeah, it's
because there's times where I would have sold some real estate instantly if I could.
Yeah,
and then I'd probably regret it later.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where all of this, it's so volatile. Like I said, so getting to yesterday, speaking of volatility, yesterday we had somebody, so it's called phishing, right? Like scamming.
Okay.
He scammed a well of ours. Yeah. He scammed a well of ours. He clicked on a link. He connected his wallet. And the dude stole like $200,000 of his token holdings and sold it on our chart. So our chart went from 20 million to 13 million in seconds. Then it got bought back up and broke all-time highs within 15 minutes, give or take. Like, it was the wildest thing ever. Like, it went from 20 to 13 back to 20, 22 million.
I'm trying to, sorry. I'm slow on figuring out what that means. So somebody hacked, what is a whale?
So a whale is like a large holder of the token.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So that dude got hacked. Somebody stole $200,000 worth of his LINQ coin and sold it.
Yeah, exactly. He took his tokens and just sold our chart. Sold his tokens on our chart. So that being said, though, the volatility of the market, like I was getting back to volatility, is like luckily, any of our wells, even at our peak all-time high of 22, give or take million, no one's nuked their bags.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say nuke, it's like a 6-figure nuke. Like, no one's nuked their bags except for that scammer dude. Just didn't care. He wasn't invested in our project.
So what happens with that? Is the guy like, well, it's gone up so much, like I've already recovered my losses? Or like, you just charge that to the game? Or
well, that dude, luckily he didn't lose all of his bag. So he still has a decent percentage. He still owns, like, I would say it's probably 150,000 worth of tokens.
Yeah.
So he had almost 500,000 of tokens, and he was a loyal, but he didn't understand. Do not click on links and don't connect your wallet to something random, because you're going to get scammed. And it happened so fast. It happened within, like, on the transaction hash, it was like 5 or 6 minutes. Like, and then our dev, luckily, was at the computer and he blacklisted the wallet before he got fully drained.
Wow. Okay.
So that guy now is like, he's blacklisted we're going to probably leave it for at least a few weeks and make sure there's two sides of it. The well could be totally, lying to us.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want you to think that he like.
The only reason we're halfway trusting him is because he has not sold anything up until that point. Like, he didn't even sell like $100. Like, he just held from day one, and
a whole week and a half he's been holding strong.
Yeah, just been holding, and I know exactly. Yeah. It's crypto
in the crypto world. It's like
a week and a half feels like a year.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyways, all that being said, is in the midst of all this, we're building a DApp. So with the DApp, because right now you can claim your LP rewards through the contract, which we'll save that for. It's a whole.
Yeah.
But for the user, the average user, like the normies or whoever to get on there, we're building a DApp to where they can go to the DApp and they connect their wallet and they can see how much LP rewards they have, and they can choose to claim or just let it grow.
Yeah. It's just like investing in a REIT or whatever. Like, you can reinvest the dividends or
essentially
take it
and
out.
And like our tokens, depending on the market cap, obviously, our LP tokens, it's kind of funny. So all of this is like new because the average user doesn't think about liquidity or they're not
just looking for
liquidity
their 2X,
provider.
Man.
That's what LP is. Like, they're not a provider. They're just they buy and sell the chart. They don't think, I can gain this extra value. Mm-hmm. Like, there's guys with, like, it's pretty wild, but hundreds of liquidity tokens, and those tokens are worth like $40 a pop.
So that's how it works, is like you're issued your liquidity in a different token?
No, it's a liquidity. So it's like I said, starts to get more technical. Like,
yeah, we're already way over my head.
But in the liquidity, so like, for instance, if you can go to Uniswap and add, like Wells do this. So say they want to buy a project, but the liquidity pool is a little, like, say it's $100,000 in liquidity, and they want to invest a large amount, but they want to have a security that they can sell that amount because sometimes there's tokens where you have 5 times the liquidity pool in your bag if at a higher market cap. You can't even sell your whole bag if you wanted to. Like, there's not enough liquidity. So a lot of these wells will actually add liquidity manually, and anybody can add liquidity to any project. So, and then you gain liquidity rewards off of this.
Okay.
Like, naturally. So, but with our project, we're promoting that, like, things that no other project does, because most developers, they want all the money. Like, which is, I mean, we're making money.
And they're doing a short-term play. They're just like, we're going to make this project, sell this coin, and pull the rug and make our money. And
Yeah, our thing is we've developed a token, but we're really focusing on the tech side with the social, the integration of, educating normies. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
like
as a normie myself.
Yeah, a million questions about how do I add liquidity? How do I get my liquidity rewards? How do I, since we launched, it's just been chaos. But it's a good thing because it's like our holders are growing, our, obviously market cap's growing. There's a lot of volatility right now because there's some things that happen like, scams. And then also a lot of I say low level, but people that have like smaller investments in the token, they've been scammed where they fished and then they sold their wallet. And so it shows me that even though all the uncertainty, the volatility, and then for the holder, the lack of understanding, it's good though, because now we're working on solving a problem.
Yeah.
And educating people like, hey, this is how liquidity works. You're like, it's so funny. So with liquidity, you can lock it. The typical, like with the project launch, you can lock your liquidity for a month is usually like the typical. And what that means is your initial liquidity you put in, say 2 ETH, you lock that up for a month. The holder's like, okay, the project's safe. He can't pull liquidity. So cool. Some people burn liquidity. So they don't have access. They send it to the debt address, which, like I said, this starts trickling down to more technical. But essentially just think of burning money and you can't get it back.
Okay.
So as a developer, some people are like...
Why would you do that?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's to make it safe for the investors. So you can't pull your liquidity because it's burnt forever.
Okay.
It's a whole different...
But nobody can have it.
Yeah, nobody can have it. So in standard economics, it's stupid. Like, why would you burn money?
Well, yeah, because like I'm thinking about it from like a real estate fund perspective, and I'm just like, I have this vision right now of like me going and pitching to investors to invest in my real estate fund.
Yeah.
And in the pitch, I just light money on fire, and I'm like, see, don't you trust me with your money? I just burned a pile.
Yeah, like no one's getting it. Yeah.
It's like,
no,
doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's just, it's crazy. But getting to where we are, we're saying, hey, you as the holder,
right, you get some.
Decentralized. So it's the most decentralized decentralization really is everybody has pieces of this company. And so as the company grows, your rewards grow. And what's really cool is like people, especially we have several whales that have contacted us through Etherscan, you can message.
Yeah.
And told us, hey, all we're doing is pulling our LP rewards. We're not even touching our bag.
Yeah. And
they hold like $500,000 of the project.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really cool because that long term, I mean, we're only at, give or take, like I said, 18, 20 million right now.
It's more like buying a stock in your
essentially
in LINQ because you have some ownership with that.
Yes.
Liquidity. It's almost like equity.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like it's kind of an interchangeable word there.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. And the cool thing about it is the higher the market cap, the more stable we become.
Right.
And then also the thing about that too is once we get to, 20, 40, 50, 100 million, hopefully a billion or billions.
Yeah.
The holders that, especially the ones that get in, I mean, anything really, the volume, like yesterday we had almost 3 million in daily volume, which is crazy.
That's wild.
In this market.
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying
this. And a week and a half in.
Yeah, and a week and a half in.
Aaron, make sure I get some of this. I'm buying the hype. I mean,
yeah. But like I said, everything can move so fast for the good or the bad. That's the volatility of it, but it's the risk of,
Yeah, we need to throw a disclaimer in here. Like none of this is financial advice. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I heard, GT on a podcast say that I should buy whatever. It's like, you should not have listened to that.
Yeah. Because we had a guy that was wanting to do an OTC or over-the-counter deal.
Okay.
He wanted to buy our token at like spot value.
Okay.
So he was going to send us like, this dude's nuts. He was going to pay us like $400,000 for tokens at like 18 million market cap. So the equivalent amount of tokens that would equal $400,000.
Right.
And we're like, no, we don't feel comfortable with that because how we got here with the holders we have, because most of our like core holders, we know them personally.
Okay.
That own like big portions. So that's the reason we're sitting at whatever the market cap is right now. But that's the reason the chart looks pretty decent and there's not crazy moves up and down except for yesterday was really wild.
Yeah.
And so we just said, man, we're sorry we don't trust you. And
buy it normally if you want it.
Yeah, just buy it. And that's the thing is, to me, it's a huge red flag because and it wouldn't make sense for him to buy and sell the chart because he would lose, his price impact would be, probably 30% or more. So he would actually lose money if he just nuked it right away.
Right.
But it's just, you can't, every single one of us have been scammed. We've lost money. You can't trust nobody. And that's why when I say our core group is like 3 people.
Yeah.
It's 3 people.
Keep it small.
Yeah. And then our developers, like our services, we can flesh out, hire out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, so like wrap up LINQ it's creating a central hub for decentralization. I know that kind of sounds funny, but it's really to attract, like I said, when we first started talking about it, it's like if we create a platform that's just for crypto users, then we alienate regular social users. And like how do we attract more? Because ultimately we want more users, we want more holders, more investors.
Right.
That increases the value.
They want to grow and everything. Yeah.
And then we can add there's a lot of sub layers to our different layers where I'm not sure if you're familiar with Twitter Spaces.
Nope.
So Twitter Spaces is kind of like a form of groups in Facebook, I guess. But but you can get on there and talk. Have live, we do Twitter Spaces for our project.
Okay.
So businesses can talk. I mean, I've been on Twitter Spaces.
Is it going to be X Spaces now?
I don't know.
Probably. Is it still called Twitter Spaces?
Probably X Space or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's got SpaceX, so why not have
it's
X
just
Space?
called Spaces.
So, okay.
But we refer to the platform and then the name of it or whatever.
Okay.
But so that's one of the layers we'll have. And then we're offering private spaces where influencers, because influencers in crypto are big, they have big Twitter accounts and all this.
Right.
They can, at first it's going to be basically free, little minimal fees, but they can host, spaces are free in general, but private spaces, they can host a space for their community that the users can get in for free, but the host pays our platform, a fee, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they can, to have 2 different sides of that, to where if you wanted to host a business meeting, you had all these collaborative, whatever, and you're like, hey, I want to host this on a platform and it's private. So it's like a Zoom meeting, but better.
Right.
Then you can do that at a minimal fee of Ethereum.
Yeah. And so, you do it all with your Bitcoin wallet.
Exactly. And it's just,
or your wallet, not just Bitcoin.
Yeah. So there's so much with that as the platform as a whole.
Do you think you're going to have any pushback on it? The social aspect to me sounds like you're mixing the Web 2 with the Web 3, right? Do you think you're going to have any pushback on that? Because part of the allure now is the anonymity of it all that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And then you're going to mix that with all the non-anonymous parts that come with the social aspect.
Yeah. So the idea with it is basically the social platform for users to interact with each other just as they would on anything else, but offering, because this is where it kind of shifts to the overall global finance. We're going digital, regardless. Yeah. If you go to the bank and say, I want to cash out my bank account, they're going to say, give us a whatever.
Depending on your bank account.
Yeah, depending on your bank account, they're like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
You can swipe your debit card and you have a limit of 5,000 or 10,000 a day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But good luck.
Yeah.
So, and that's where even in Miami, there's
the money doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The actual money doesn't even exist.
And that's why, with that, so what I'm getting at with that is we're offering the decentralized tools, like the DeFi part of it.
Yep.
The educational part of it, because there's going to be mass adoption at some point. Mm-hmm. There's going to be it's going to be wild when there's millions of people trying to learn something and they're freaking out because, like you said, am I late? What am I getting into? How do I do it? How do I send a wallet? And that's where we're taking the front end and simplifying it, because now you have to copy and paste addresses. It's a little confusing because if you send it to the wrong address, it's peer-to-peer, so it's on you. Right. So it's going back to there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah. We used to do a big real estate company that I used to work for. We would pay hundreds, if not thousands of like vendors a week for all of their invoices for all the work they'd done on projects. And part of their onboarding process for being hired for that company and being able to get in the system and do work for them was there was 3 or 4 different like account number verification things, because the company was based out of Memphis. We were doing a ton of work here in Little Rock and in several other cities and states. They switched to doing everything direct deposit because mailing checks, it like took forever. They'd get lost. You know, people intercept them and scam the company. You know, there's just all kinds of bad things that happen with checks. It was like, we can direct deposit this stuff. It goes instantly. Everybody's happy, right? But it's peer-to-peer. If you put in the wrong, if the company puts in your account number wrong, that money goes to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's not you. So people would complain that like, cause I'd have to get them to give me a blank check, a voided blank check that had from the bank the account number. They'd have to write it in several places. And it's like, dude, I know it's a pain, but it's so you get your money. We got to send it to the right place the first time, or it goes to some stranger and it's gone. Yeah,
no, for real. And getting on a pro to peer-to-peer and to crypto itself is, I love the fact that I can send money 24/7.
Yeah.
Any time of the day. There's no 3-day. My wife knows this. I get so frustrated. Every once in a while I have to like Cash App or something.
Yeah.
And it's like so frustrating when it's like a Friday and I know it's after 4 p.m. or it's like that money hitting the account till Monday evening, you know, and it drives me insane because
it's like we have the technology. We can fix this.
Exactly. And the funny thing about with, you know, like I was saying about like the value, like digital currency is, like you said, it voids out exchange rates, like international transfers. Like there's already, I know now. Yeah.
I feel like all that's going to change with regulation.
Yeah.
Like,
the regulation is going to come in and there's going to be changes for sure.
And it's all going to slow it down.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think what's happening right now though is I really believe the government is buying a lot of crypto and at cheap prices. That's why they come out and they say one thing one day and then the next day that dude gets fired, or the dude that said this, he sold Bitcoin, or
dude, at this point I would honestly be pretty thrilled if it turned out the US government was a big holder in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Cuz like what other escape plan do we have for these trillions of dollars of debt?
Oh yeah,
it's like I think it would cause chaos and panic and people be like, "What?" Like but I'm like, dude, honestly, like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Cuz at least then it would be like maybe there's a chance. Maybe it's not all on like my children's shoulders to pay all that off.
Yeah. And they're already talking about like the CBDC, like the central banking digital currency.
Yeah.
And there's actually governors and states that say they're going to ban it. And the reason I won't get on there is because it's just a way they say for security, blockchain security is a lot better, all this kind of stuff, which it is. Like the 2-factor authentication, all that junk, that is more doors to get hacked. It really just, it gives you more portals to get hacked, to get your, like, and there's so many accounts, it's not in the mainstream news, obviously, but there's so many accounts of people talking about, oh, I've noticed, like, over the last 6 months, I've been losing these little random transactions out of my bank account. $1 here, $1 there, blah, blah, blah. But you do that with millions of bank accounts.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting the money. I don't know who. I don't know. I'm not saying, oh, it's the government, but I don't really know. But again, it's pretty shady.
Pretty weird.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on. And
but if it was on the blockchain, you could see exactly where it was going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, the whole FTX thing, Sam Bankman-Fried, you know, that's not saying, like, I mean, they funneled billions through FTX for political agendas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, is he the fall guy? Are they painting it as FT? Like, because obviously crypto took a hit when FTX crashed.
He literally looks like a fall guy.
Yeah. Like the nerd that just got sucked into the wrong
like
crowd.
If you were to paint a caricature of a fall guy, it would be that guy.
Yeah. I seen a deal. It's kind of sad, but he's requesting the government to be out of prison for 5 days a week. to work, I guess.
What?
I don't know. It doesn't even make sense. But
they'll probably let them do it.
Yeah. It's just wild. And that's the thing. Again, a lot of people, like I was talking to a guy a while back, and he's like, gold bars and silver coins and stocking up canned foods and all this. I'm like, that's cool too. Like you said, be diversified.
Do both.
Like I was just telling my wife, I was like, man, if something came down to where we couldn't buy food for 3 months, we don't have a garden, we don't have much canned food, fresh food's gone by then. So you got to think of both. I'm not saying we can't eat Bitcoins for dinner,
No.
But, and like some people are like,
the nutritional value is not
great. What if
they,
take the internet down? I'm like, well, everything runs off of satellites, servers.
Yeah, your Bitcoin's the last of your worries if like the whole grid goes down.
And that's what somebody literally, if we, until we revert back to caveman days where we're hunting deer with spears and like hunter-gatherers, I'm not really worried about collecting gold bars and stuff other than, because buy, sell, and trade with physical. Even
then, gold's not going to do you any good.
No.
People are going to want like bullets and like deer meat.
Yeah, food and ammunition and protect themselves and to survive.
Right. Yeah.
So
you also can't defend yourself very well with Bitcoin. It's hard to whack somebody over the head with it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's cool. There's so much, like I said, this can go on for hours, days, multiple conversations.
Well, there's so much that's just unknown. I think some of the takeaway is like I appreciate you and your patience with me because I feel like I've learned a lot. And it's one of those things where the world's changing. There's a lot of uncertainty. None of us have a crystal ball and know exactly where it's going. But, it's good to learn about this stuff, at least have some understanding so you can make somewhat of an educated decision. I don't think it's a bad idea for everyone out there to have some crypto. Stick to the Bitcoin, stick to the ETH. These, they're the Google and the Facebook or the whatever of the space. They're the ones that are likely to weather the storms and stick around. You can, get crazy and buy some other stuff too. You should buy some LINQ. It sounds like don't want to discount your new project because it does sound exciting. And like, is it a bad idea to have some gold and silver? No. Is it a bad idea to stock some food? No. Yeah. Is it a bad idea to buy some real estate? No. You should try and do all of it.
Yeah. And I have a friend that does cars, like supercars. And
nice.
He gets on the waiting list for these cars. He pays $50,000-$60,000 less than, street value.
Yeah.
He waits, gets the cars, and every single time he's made a minimum, which I think was like a random Porsche, and it wasn't even an expensive Porsche, he made like $30,000 off of.
Yeah.
And but he's also a fashion designer. He has real estate. And it's just like, he loves supercars as a hobby.
Yeah.
But also how to monetize it.
Right. Well, you get a couple of Instagram pictures before you sell it. And,
But I agree 100%. I think diversification with everything is wise. And that's what, like, going back to what I tell everybody, buy a little bit of Bitcoin, buy a little bit of Ethereum. It's good thing is it's a lot of it, Bitcoin is close to 3x from all-time high. And down. And Ethereum, Ethereum the same. So it's like you can't lose buying it. It's not going to zero. Like the short term, that's the problem though, is people see short term daily fluctuation. Like for instance,
they're too zoomed in on the graph.
Yes, they're like, oh my God, it dropped 5%.
Right.
But they didn't zoom out and look, Ethereum over the last 2 years is up 500%.
Right.
So as a long term investor, it's like, that's a way better return than 401k. That's a way better return than a lot of stocks, unless you're day trading and doing your thing. But like long-term investing.
But even then, day trading, it's like long-term success day trading is nearly impossible.
Yeah, I have a buddy that's done it for 10 years, and he's in real estate as well too.
Yeah,
and it's like some days are good, and then sometimes he's like he doesn't do it for a month or two. He's like, I'm just gonna take a break, step away from it because it's really hard. It's a lot harder than the YouTubers tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
it's a hard way to make an easy living.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like,
but you see all the people out there like social media. They're like, I'm
Yeah.
a day trader and like Forex and crypto and like,
Yeah.
and they're just living the life, right? And it's like,
yeah.
and except for when you're not, you know?
Yeah, and except when you get like nuked, you know, wake up one day and you're, and that's where I guess emotionally too, a lot of people, I just thought of this actually as we're talking, is think of the emotional instability of the world.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really emotionally unstable. And a lot of it is attack from political agendas, news outlets. It's pitting people against each other, you know, causing issues where there's not. But like, for instance, I went to DC last weekend and I've never been to DC ever.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool. I told my wife, I was like, this is a lot different than I expected in a good way. Like, we walked around, looked at the monuments, all this stuff, all political stuff aside. It was like, it felt like America. Like, we're free to walk around. We could eat where we want.
Yeah.
We can wear what we want. And so it wasn't like what you see on the news or here, you know, not saying that doesn't happen, but that being said is like the emotional instability of the world is like, I can have a preconceived judgment of you before I even know you.
Yeah.
Or give you a chance to know you.
Right.
And then that could affect how I treat you, how I respond to you, and so that's where
usually it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like going back to trading or investing and losing money and gaining money, or waking up one day you're up 50,000, next day you're down negative. And it's like that emotional swing. Not everybody
when you bring
handle
money
that.
into it,
Yeah.
it's even worse, right?
Yeah. And that's why I've had people, you know, even like I said, as of this week, investors, to them, $500 is everything.
Yeah.
They're from a country where they might not, their GDP, whatever, they might not, $500 is a monthly income or whatever. And they just throw it all in it, which is their risk. But I can have empathy for them and be like, I know how that feels, throwing that in, getting scammed, losing your money, feeling like it's the end of the world. A lot of people aren't emotionally strong enough to like handle that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because some people commit suicide. It's a sad situation.
Yeah.
But that's where, like I said, I guess summarizing a lot of this is just people in general. Like with crypto, what's really cool about crypto is going back to one thing that is amazing and beautiful is communities get together and they unite over like a project. And we always talk in our like little inner circles is like the most valuable, which it's obvious and elementary, but the most valuable asset or contributing factor to the success of our project is our community.
Yeah.
Because if our community is in the chat being negative, it affects the chart. Like this morning, a couple people were in there and they're just like complaining about stuff. And it's like, they're not looking back at the week, like the week we've grown. It's the first week. There's been a lot of technical issues that we had to work through. And they're complaining. And then you look at the chart, within minutes, there's sells. Because people freak out. Oh my God, are we going down? Like,
yeah, the fear.
I mean, we dipped down to 14K, give or take, this morning. And then within like an hour, it's like back up to 18 million.
Yeah.
You know, and people, oh man, I lost my position. It's like, learn how to hold.
Chill.
Just chill. Don't look at the chart. Like,
right.
Too many people look at the chart just by minutes. Like, get away from the chart. And that's what we did, honestly, on this. We didn't, I mean, we kept up with the chart a little bit, see where we're at, but we're just like, we're developing something regardless. Like, we're building this platform. Yeah. We're building this. And our statistics, our holders, our social media growth, everything is growing from day one. So it's all positive. And we want distribution. We don't want 10 people. That's not decentralization, right? Like, we want hundreds of thousands
acceptance.
Of holders. Yeah. And that's where the strength is.
Right.
Is any project that has done billion plus market cap is there's hundreds of thousands of holders at a minimum, and they're all positive in the chat, going crazy, shilling, spreading messages, you know, tweeting. And it's where you start to see the strength of the community is how they work. Like, for instance, we have some guys in our community that are building graphics. Some of them aren't the greatest graphics. We don't use them on our like official stuff, but we're showing that community members are not just sitting there, hey, when is the price going to go up? Why is there a dip? You know, what technology are you guys releasing next? You know, what utility? win this, win that. They're actually going out, they're working for their bag is what we call it.
Yeah.
And
promoting it, and
they're promoting it in their own way. And they're ultimately like I said, one of the projects I was in on was SafeMoon. People were making merchandise on their own accord, selling it on Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, people were making license plate deals, stickers. Yeah. I mean, it was...
Well, that's how these things tend to take off, right? It's like that word of mouth is so powerful. It's like that old question. It's like, would you rather have $1 million or 1 million friends?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction is, dude, give me the $1 million. I don't need 1 million friends. It's like, you think about it a little bit. It's like, dude, if you have 1 million friends, each one of those people will probably give you $1 just because you're friends, right?
Yeah.
You can take that $1 million and, you know, start like a company like Mr. Beast or something, do like Feastables, which obviously it costs him more than that. But like, you make a company that sells chocolate bars, and like, well, all your friends are, you know, your friends are going to buy your chocolate bar because they're your friends.
Yeah.
You sell those for, you know, all of a sudden you've got a company that's worth, you know, it's kind of that just two different ways of thinking about it. And, you know, it sounds like a lot of these projects are in the boat where they would just choose the $1 million, and y'all are trying to take that route of choosing the 1 million friends.
Yeah.
Because you're stronger that way. It's a better long-term thing for everybody.
Yeah. And that's like what you're saying is I've seen incredible products, like just consumer products that are awesome, but they don't have the supply and demand factor of they have 5 people that are wanting to buy it instead of 5 million, you know, and that's where like we're in it. We know the money will follow. It's just like a business. If you do it, and there's two sides of it. Like there's a sales approach where it's like, okay, if I can do 10 sales at this price per day, blah, 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 I can make this amount of money, blah, blah, sales motivated, sales driven, all that, which in our case is the other side of it of we're like technology driven in the sense of like, we want to make a change. It's like, this is where I look at like Elon Musk. He could have sold PayPal and been happy with 180 million or whatever it was and lived a great life.
Yeah.
But I think, yes, he's worth billions, but I think he really, truly loves the advancement of technology, and he might be far out there sometimes for some people.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's not living in a $1 billion house. Like Teslas are cool and everything, the tech, but the build quality isn't that great. It's not like nothing special.
But it's pushing.
But it's pushing something forward, and that's the difference of you see people like that he's a 100-year figure.
Oh yeah.
Like he will leave a mark on the world of, obviously he's done you know, crazy things. But and then there's people like that sell things, right? They're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. No, we need that though. Like we need sales. We need a company in order to get revenue. A lot of times you have to sell. You have to, that's how you get your revenue. And so that's with like for us wrapping up that portion is like, we're really truly the guys we have, our project, even at this stage, if we wanted to, we could just be total jerks and just nuke on our holders and walk away and be happy with money. But that's not what's driving us. It's like, we know long-term, if we play this out right, and if we were responsible, respectful, and ethically right, there's like a thing that a lot of people mistake in this world nowadays is like just being ethical.
What does that even,
Yeah, what does that even mean
It's
anymore?
like a foreign concept to people these days.
Yeah. And so that's where, because the power is, like I said, with these developers and projects, there's a lot of power with the developers. So it's not truly decentralized, and that's why we came up with this concept of, let's make a contract where, you know, holders are getting LP rewards, and also next week we have staking going live, where they can get Ethereum rewards, which we already have a wallet with a large amount of Ethereum that is going to fund that pool of ETH
What do the
rewards.
staking returns look like? Or is that something you know ahead of time? Or?
Yeah, so the first month, we have it planned for the first month of, and this is a crazy topic too, because percentages return like on staking crypto is kind of fishy because there's been big people that have done it and they've essentially offered like obscene amount, like 10,000%, which is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So for our first month we're going to do 750%.
Okay.
Then it's going to trickle down to about and settle around 250 to 300%.
Okay.
And then obviously that fluctuates with volume and all of that. But
right.
we're trying to get it really around that 250%.
As it becomes more stable, you offer less of a return.
Exactly. So the early ones that stake, and it's a 2-week staking period. So we're not saying stake it for 6 months and then, God forbid, our token goes to dirt and you're holding a bag, you're just watching it go, you can't do nothing, you can't sell your bag, you can't.
Yeah. That would be
so
rough.
Yeah, the thing is, all of us have been around that block of like, we've been a part of staking projects. They don't work out usually.
Yeah.
It's because either one, like, have you heard of Celsius?
The drink?
No. Celsius was kind of like that. They offered like obscene amounts of returns.
Okay.
You could stake Bitcoin, Ethereum, all this kind of stuff.
Well, if something sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, it is.
It normally
Bottom
is.
line. Yeah. So I think that dude actually is either in prison or I can't remember exactly. I have to go back and look. But so there's, like I said, there's so many variables. Like,
it's the wild, wild west, it sounds like to me. Like when I hear about all this stuff, it's like, do I want it to be regulated? No. But would it help with mass adoption if there was some stability? Probably.
Oh, yeah. And that's where, like I said, my shift, like probably a year and a half ago, was development. Because I know, my return now might not be billions of dollars. But if I shift now into the development and build, like I said, we have, what's really cool, all this has happened in the last week and a half. We have a direct connection with DEX tools now. Okay. So at any given time, like we can use DEX tools trending, which is a really cool feature that you used to have to pay like, you have to pay like 5,000 minimum to get trending on DEX tools. So we have a direct connect there. So that helps us with volume, daily volume. We can control and create more stability. Like I said, our development team has like really opened up to where we have really high level like blockchain devs and to do anything we want to do. Yeah. So it's cool. We're really wanting to push it, big time. We have funding now. Like we've raised, at current ETH value over 300,000 in the last week for just development
and that's
funding.
On this. Okay. So how does that work?
So that's
just like actual like.
That's money sitting in a wallet that's ETH. Like we can, it's for so it's going to support the initial start of it continues to grow every day. But
so people give you that money in return for what?
So when they buy, they transact LINQ token, that money automatically is portions of the transaction go to that wallet.
Got it. Okay. That's not money you raised for development in exchange for like, it's money that through the transaction. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So LINQ as like a company.
Exactly.
Has made that money to use for growth of the company. Yeah.
So like each transaction at a base level, say like, for instance, like Facebook has ad revenue. That's how they make a lot of their money. Right. Like last year was like 120 or 30 billion in ad revenue. Yeah. It's kind of like that, but on a transaction where the token holder, when they go look at our tokenomics, they see, this percentage is allocated for this percentage is allocated for that.
Gotcha.
They can see where that's going. They can see the wallet that it's going to. Yeah. And we tell them, like, because we are doing development, so we have a decent chunk of money going out of that wallet on any given day. So we notify the community, hey, we just sent out 10 ETH we're developing this, the DApp, or we're developing, our social platform, or all this kind of stuff is in the works.
$300,000 in a week.
Yeah.
That's
with
solid.
Current ETH value, like before, ETH is, like I said, I can't remember, it's sitting around like 1650 this morning or whatever. But if it goes back up to, it's close to, it's whatever, 400,000 almost with.
And this is crazy. So I just had this thought, and like, this is how new I am to this. So it's like, so that helps drive up the value of ETH because all of this ETH is getting transferred in situations like this, and every time it gets transferred, ETH gets a little piece.
Yeah. So there's always gas fees.
Dude, that's crazy. Okay. I'm getting it now.
Yeah. And then
I just had a little mini breakthrough on some of the crypto stuff right there.
So that's what's really cool though about our LP. As ETH grows, our LP price grows. So because each LP not only increases with our market cap, it increases with the fluctuation of ETH.
Right.
So like as ETH grows up and our token price goes up, that LP token becomes more valuable.
That's crazy. So yeah, it's literally how the banks have gotten so filthy rich over the last several hundred years. But now it's just happening to people's wallets instead of JP Morgan.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it's like this is a funny example, but like you think of like I love coffee, like big into the sourcing of coffee and like
big fan,
like how they fair trade, pay the farmers and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept of like miners in crypto. These dudes that are running these mining rigs, they're getting these network fees, pennies on the dollar, right? But that's where it starts. That's how you transact. That's how you, like for instance, you can't just, if you have $100 in ETH in your wallet and you're going to go spend $100, it won't allow you because you don't have the gas to fund that transaction. So you have to like dial it back to 95 or 90 or whatever the price of Gwei is.
Right. Okay. It's so interesting. That whole concept of the gas and like I just think of it in the term of like fees associated with the transactions is so interesting to me because I think the main thing that's had me interested in crypto is how it's going and these smart contracts and stuff like that, which, like I said, I'm completely ignorant when it comes to this stuff. But at some point, like I mainly deal in real estate, the transacting of real estate and the process of doing that is so antiquated. And you want to talk about transferring money, and if it, it starts on a Friday afternoon at 4 and it doesn't hit your bank account till Monday, it's like, dude, go buy a house. And, the length of time it takes to just transact that process is brutal. And some of it's necessary, but all of like the title work and all of that just eventually being on the blockchain just makes total sense. All of it being able to happen more peer-to-peer just makes total sense. And from a real estate investment standpoint, these smart contracts offer some really interesting ways to transact real estate. Like I can be more flexible on a sales price of an investment property. Let's say you came to me and you wanted an investment property. You want a single family rental, a home to rent out. Well, let's say we don't see eye to eye on the purchase price. Well, I can say, Preston, we don't see eye to eye on the purchase price. I really only need this much money today, but on the smart contract, I want to keep 5% of every time that property transacts from here until the end of time.
Yep.
Or whatever. Like that, you're just opening up a whole new world of like crazy stuff.
Yeah. So
that can be really beneficial for us peer to peer.
Yeah, absolutely. And so saying that, for one of the things I've done, I mentioned earlier about a charity. Mm-hmm. Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum or co-founder or whatever, he tweeted a thing last year. It was about November, like early November. Tweeted a thing. He said, "Why don't some of you, like 99% of these developers, are truly about themselves? Like create something benevolent, like truly, charitable." So one of the developers I was working with at the time had this bright idea of like, let's find, and he mentioned he added a charity project that he's big on. It's called GiveWell. They're based out of California.
Okay.
But what they do is you donate to them, then they distribute to different charities. And they're like the most transparent charity, supposedly. Like you can see they're straight up with their earnings reports, like when they lost money, when something was not really above board, like they address everything. Yeah. Which is pretty cool because charities are like, no one trusts
notorious for misappropriation of funds.
Basically money laundering and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of bad stuff happens.
He said that. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's play off of this hype. So we took a smart contract, wrote it up. We hard coded a 2% tax to the GiveWell ETH wallet. So they have Ethereum wallet because they take crypto donations.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't even remember what price ETH was then, but we donated between, fluctuating on market price, but 150 to 200,000 off of transactions. But it was completely hard coded. So like when that transaction came in, the 2%, it didn't sit in our deployer. Like it went straight to that wallet address. So it was allocated automatic. We couldn't change it. We renounced the contract. So getting to the contract thing, once you renounce a contract, you can't change it. Like that's the thing. I can verify a contract. Like when I deploy, I say deploy a contract, I verify it. It shows you as anybody can see it on the blockchain. They can see the code. They can read the lines. And if they know what they're looking for, they can see, oh, they're charging this for tax. They're charging this little code here says send to developer, or this little code says. So there's a lot of things which 99% of people probably won't ever get to that level.
Yeah.
But
eventually there will be a platform that demystifies a lot of that.
Exactly.
Makes it easy.
So, and that's the thing. There's a lot of bots now that say, this is safe, the liquidity is locked on it, but even the bots aren't quite, like optimized to the full capacity. But, and a lot of people miss out because they say, oh, the bot told me that the contract wasn't verified. Well, go to Etherscan, look at the contract and see if it's verified. But they don't understand how to do that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so we hard coded that tax. We raised almost $200,000 to GiveWell. They acknowledged it. Vitalik tweeted it. He retweeted our tweet. Nice. And our project went from like 200,000 to like 2 million.
Wow.
In like literally like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because at the time, he doesn't tweet projects at all, hardly.
Right.
And
well, because you have to be sparing with
especially
stuff like that.
Especially co-founder of Ethereum, which most stuff happens there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It was a cool experience. We
wild.
actually talked to him over chat, which was really cool.
Nice. That's crazy.
So one of our developers got in contact with him, and like I'll have to look back and find the screenshots, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool
experience.
Yeah, man,
it's worth like how much money?
No
telling?
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, no telling. Yeah.
So it was cool. So we learned a lot. We did an NFT like charity project after that. Which we did pretty well there. And then we created a swap for the token. Just different stuff, but it all leads to like kind of where we are now. It's like, and what's crazy is our team was a little bit different then, but we kind of evolved. A couple people left.
Yeah.
A couple people.
Part of it.
They're more short-sighted. A couple people are like, no, we'd rather spend 3 months and build something long-term than try to launch something in a week and catch hype and make $5,000. Like,
right.
It's just different goals. But the cool thing about all of that, like I said, is we sent a massive check to GiveWell headquarters.
Yeah. And
we were actually trying to get...
Did you actually, like, massive just with the amount of money, or did you send them, like,
a big physical check?
Nice.
So what was funny is they would not respond to our emails at first.
Well, yeah, because they think you're a scam or... Yeah.
And then, so, like, a month into it, after they get a $150,000 check, they're like... This is just a funny thing, though. So they're like, okay, we acknowledge, but we can't tweet about it because we don't want to associate with no hard feeling, whatever, however they worded it. They're professionally going.
We'll take the money.
Yeah, we'll take the money. We're fine. And we're like, okay, well, thanks. And then, so the project itself, I mean, I think it's still sitting at like, I don't know, 100-something thousand market cap.
Yeah.
Just chilling there. Like, I'm not even in it anymore. Like I spent my time and then it's just sitting there. It's renounced, it's locked. There's no, I mean, all the taxes go to the charity. Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing about that project. We took no dev tax.
Okay.
So it was truly like
for
taxes. Two for buy and 2 for sell. So 4% total. But, so yeah, it's just fun. And that's the cool thing about getting to like smart contracts. Like I said, like building ideas.
Yeah.
There's so many things like going, like I said, with real estate, like you mentioned. I've heard, I don't know because I'm not technically in real estate, but I've heard that even like cities like Miami and stuff, they're already accepting Bitcoin and for transactions. Yeah. Or in a form, I don't know exactly how, but But like I know like in LA, like I said, I come from California and like South, LA, Malibu, all that stuff. People walk in and say, I want to buy the house, 5 million cash offer, 7 million, whatever. Mm-hmm. So the people, I would guarantee those people would much rather transact on a decentralized platform and like you said, you don't wait weeks for payment. You don't wait. Like my uncle, he bought a Tesla a while back and his check hadn't cleared. He got it on the weekend. His check hadn't cleared with the bank. He couldn't charge his car.
What?
Like he ran out of his full charge, this charge he left the dealership with.
Yeah.
But he could not charge his car because on Tesla's end, it didn't show that the check had cleared for his car.
They can make it where you can't charge your car?
Yes. He could not charge his car.
They can remotely make it where you can't charge your car?
It's just a computer.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference in having the capability and using the capability. That's crazy.
It's trippy. So that's where...
Oh, man. Well, now I can't have one. That would freak me out so bad.
I know, because
you can just render my car completely useless on like a whim?
Yeah. It's terrible. Like I said, it's just an iPhone on wheels. I mean, you see the class action lawsuit with Apple right now?
No.
They're supposed to pay out like $500 million to people that they knowingly or willingly or whatever slowed older phones down.
Oh, well, they owe me some money.
Yeah.
They've definitely done it to me.
Everybody I know is like, man, my phone hit a year old.
Where's my check?
Yeah.
I probably didn't sign the right paperwork. I probably got an email.
Read the fine
print. Yeah.
But
dude, that's scary. Like, I mean, it's like we kind of all, I guess, have some level of like knowing they could just like do something like that. But like hearing of them actually doing it is just like that. It just, in my mind, and maybe this is paranoia or whatever, but I couldn't like, if I've bought something, I expect it to be mine and like under my control.
Yeah.
Like that's how business has always worked, right? You offer a product or service, take my money, I give it to you, whatever. Now it is my product.
Yeah. No, it's like you go to wherever, you buy a plate of food.
Right.
Like you consume it.
Right.
They can't pull it out of your mouth. I know it sounds weird analogy, but they can't just reach in there and yank the cheeseburger out of your mouth. Like that's the same thing and that's the scary thing with vehicles, like chips. There's lots of, even just gas vehicles, there's so many, but even then there are still workarounds. Like you'd have to be a hacker to get your Tesla, like a computer hacker. I'm sure somebody could figure it out.
A super high level one, probably.
Super high level. Yeah. Like for instance, Apple offers you $1 million if you can hack the phone.
Right.
And no one's ever done it.
Yeah.
And I've seen interviews with like high level hackers.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't do it. Like whatever they got on their end, it is locked tight. Yeah. So, which is cool because I've seen one thing, all politics aside, I like Apple because one thing I've seen is like, the government has tried to seize information from Apple.
And they don't give it to them.
And they don't give it to them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because, and
it's a smart move on their end because as soon as you do, it's like consumer confidence plummets. And part of me, just because I'm a little paranoid, is like, well, they probably gave it to them, but they were like, we have to do this big press release where y'all get angry at us and act like we didn't.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know. There's so much, like I said, there's so much uncertainty. I mean, you can talk to anybody nowadays and it feels like whether it's finance, technology, whatever. And that's where, I guess to summarize all of what I've said today, I love technology, but I also see like for instance, AI, all that kind of stuff freaks me out because people don't even understand. Like ChatGPT, that's surface level.
Right.
It's so, if they're giving us that,
right,
it's 100 times more powerful.
Oh yeah. And there's no telling what they've got. Yeah.
And that's the scary part is like, I seen a military deal. They used AI to guide this drone or whatever. And the drone came back and bombed the command center. And the response or the output of the AI was like, you're the enemy, blah, blah, blah. And this was simulation, obviously. But I mean, it's just scary because the thing is, everything we do, phones, I mean, even our watches, everything has chips and computers and all this stuff. And so.
Not your watch.
Yeah.
Not my watch.
No.
Stay mechanical.
Yeah, mechanical, exactly. Utilitarian.
Yeah.
But it's all of that is like cars, like stuff, they're all computerized.
Yeah.
So and that's why like Elon Musk, one thing he says is the only thing that keeps him up at night is AI. And for him to say that, and he's talking about Mars and all this stuff.
Well, and he knows some of what's out there, right? Like if anybody's going to like see the cutting edge stuff, it's probably him.
Yeah.
And if it scares him, it scares me.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Well, Bing, the search engine.
Yeah.
So they came out with a like.
Well, Windows, that's Windows or Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
And they bought ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's all under that umbrella. And then they came out with
like a AI search engine thing for a second, and they shut it down. They shut the project down because I can't remember. I'd have to go back and read the article, but
yeah,
it's pretty wild at like what it was doing when they launched it. And it's like Google's been talking about this for like 10 years now,
right?
About building these personalities in computers. It's wild.
Well, I forget the guy's name, but it's the guy, what's it? It's like OpenAI or something that like created ChatGPT, and they've got like the other one, and they got bought by Microsoft. And I forget the guy's name, but I saw a video and it was talking about, and I don't know, this is an uninformed blurb. I just like saw this video, and they were saying he always carries this blue backpack. And they called it like the nuclear backpack. And supposedly like in this backpack, he has like the nuclear like shutdown button for like all of the open world AI stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, good. Like I'm glad somebody's got one.
Yeah.
Cause like, they talk about this singularity, and when it gains, it actually, goes from code to like consciousness. And it's like, dude,
and that's where people are misinformed too. Just like a lot of the crypto. They think AI is super intelligence. Like that's not super intelligence. AI is based off of input code.
Yeah.
It's like what you put into it, what it spits out. And then, but also it's learning you. So the more data you give it, the better it interacts with you, the more it knows your habits, the more it knows how you structure your words, how you, whatever. So, but it's shifting to where, like you said, it kind of morphs into like, it's going to morph into super intelligence, which is when it's grown legs and arms and in a computer sense, and making choices and decisions on its own, which is scary.
And it would make sense that it would collectively hate us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in my mind, if I'm this like newly sentient being that's connected to like, I have this unique connection and awareness of everyone through what they do on their internet connection, dude, you would hate everybody too. You would think the world is this like, this whole world is just this disgusting, hateful place full of this like hateful, disgusting species that needs to get eliminated.
Yeah. And their military was testing out like a top fighter pilot with like an AI programmed fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And every single time it like got destroyed because, and where it was getting destroyed was, he said, a natural, like a fighter pilot, you're trained for all the crazy maneuvers and stuff. But he said one thing that your human reaction is not fast enough is when you're going head on in a dogfight, like fighter pilots. And he said every single time that's where the AI engine would destroy the fighter pilot was they would flip, do a turn, and they come straight at each other going, 800-900 miles an hour. And you have a second to react, and you can't compete.
Yeah. I mean, the self-driving cars are going to blow us away. Like I'm convinced my children are going to grow up in an era where they think it was crazy we used to drive ourselves around. Because it's a matter of time before it's safer than human driving. If it's not already, it probably is.
Yeah.
But it's just people are still weirded out by it. But it's like, you hear Elon talk about like the computation that's going on thousands of times a second on every tire, and like, we just have this bandwidth issue, right? Which he's talked about, sorting out with the neural implants and whatever. But like these computers don't have the bandwidth issues that we have. They can take in and respond to drastically more data than we can.
Yeah.
I mean, like drastically better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's okay. It's okay that we're like worse in some areas. We still need to be in control of like the thing, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's where we get to that crossroad where, like I said, I love technology and I love the use case for a lot of it. But it's like, why can't we, I feel like we're making that transition in a scary way of technology being like, for instance, social media. It went from, oh, I feel bad about myself because so-and-so looks better and all of that. But then now it's like technology is being weaponized.
Oh, yeah.
So not only just social media.
Well, that's our natural inclination is to weaponize it.
Yes.
I mean, technology from the Stone Age. I mean, first tool made out of a rock was probably to hurt somebody with or hurt something with, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just crazy where and I think, I guess all of what we've said today is like summarizing. You take it because there are incredible opportunities during these times, from a financial gain perspective or a business or whatever. And it's just cool because it's a scary time. It's an exciting time. It's like you said, our kids are going to grow up and be like, why in the world did you guys drive around? Like now you can hop in a car, go out, you don't have to pay gas. You don't have to, there's so many, and like that's the thing. It goes back to pros and cons of all of that. But
the government can also shut it down at any given point. It's like, it's exciting, but also, man, you lose all that freedom of just a gas powered car that, nobody can control remotely. And
like you can just do whatever you want without getting approval.
I'm torn between the two. Part of me is like, they lure us in with convenience at the cost of our freedom, which is really alarming. But I'm also like, I don't want to be the old man that just can't get with the times.
Yeah.
Because some of it, it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. A lot of it's happening. So you might as well learn about it and do the best you can for yourself and your family. And that's all you can do,
Yeah. No, I agree.
Buy Bitcoin, buy LINQ, buy canned food, buy gold. Just, make sure you've got all your bases covered.
Plug in your car.
Get a Rolex.
Get a Rolex.
Yeah, just have all your investment bases covered.
Yeah. Man,
this was so good. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. I feel like I know a lot more than I did. I'm excited to keep in touch about LINQ. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure Aaron is behind the camera, but he's my go-to crypto guy. So he's already talked about setting me up with a what do you call it? The wallet, non-custodial wallet.
Oh yeah.
Just so I have that. And man, I'm going to get some LINQ in there. So when it goes to the moon, I didn't miss out.
Yeah, I hope. Like, no financial advice, but
buy it now.
But buy it now. Yeah. So I'm excited, man. This was a really good talk. Like, hopefully we can raise some awareness on certain topics.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot out of it. Like like I said, I'm just so ignorant when it comes to this stuff. So this was great. How do people find LINQ? Just say it one more time, in case anybody missed it.
LINQ, you could either go to linkgroup.io, and then they're
LINQ
group.io.
Okay.
And then there's bunches of links. Like I said, we're building our DApp right now. There's a lot of stuff that's happening over the next week. So, but it's clearly stated there, like chart. You can go straight to the chart, and the token address is there, like the contract address. All of that's there. You can see the chart, pricing, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome, man. Well, great. This was awesome. Really appreciate the time. Thank you all for listening and watching. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. We drop new videos every week, new podcasts every week, and different videos other than that as well. So thank you all, and we'll see you on the next one. And remember, hustle on purpose. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video as much as we liked making it, be sure to check out another one. You've got one here. You got another one over here. If you want to listen to the podcast audio only, go check out the Spotify link in the description. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps us out a ton. And please hit the bell if you want notifications anytime we drop a new video. Hope to see you on the next one.